Ladies and gentlemen, a happy new year to you all.
What is going on, everyone? It is a new year, and that means I sit down and make a new year video where I essentially ramble incoherently for 20 to 30 minutes. Let's hope we make this one shorter, so we'll just get right into talking about this year. 2024 was a pretty good year for the channel, I'd say. So for like the first, 3-4 months, it was status quo. And status quo would just mean I upload a video. It gets pushed out to the hardcore viewers, the people who are viewing my stuff regularly. But then that's it. YouTube just threw the video in the trash. No one would ever see it. And it was just like that for the longest time. And because of that, I take breaks. I don't upload as often as I like to, or I should have been uploading more, but you get a little discouraged when you see that. So I would make videos whenever I felt it, pretty much. And since I was a lot less motivated, I made stuff a lot less frequently. So I took breaks, and things really started to turn around when, of all things, I uploaded the WrestleMania, 19 on the GameCube, the video on the revenge mode. And finally, that got some traction. We got in the algorithm, boys. Yeah, so it got like 100,000 views, and then it kind of stopped. But something interesting happened is that after that, other videos got put into the algorithm randomly, like old shit. The Supremacy MMA video shot up to over 500,000 views. That video I did on Acclaim shot up to over 100,000. So I don't know why that is. I don't know why YouTube saw my stuff, or the algorithm saw my stuff and was like, yeah, it's time. It's time to put them out there. I don't know. But even the stuff I upload now, the video about sports cameos got up to over 100,000. The video on Backbreaker got up to over 100,000. So I'm in the algorithm, and even the stuff that doesn't get up to over 100,000, like the Madden 06 career mode, 38,000 views ain't nothing to sneeze at, especially when your boy was coming from, 800 views and the video dying. So what I take from that is YouTube, in most cases, is just about building a catalog. And no video is ever truly dead. I mean, there's different variants of being dead or not, but no video is truly gone forever, because you never know when YouTube just decides, all right, this video is getting pushed out. So we finally got into the algorithm, boys. As far as what that means for 2025, I want to do more live streaming, but I don't know. I got to figure out what game I want to do, how do I want to present it, what days am I going to do it on, so on and so forth. And obviously uploading more often, which I've been doing. I've been like a week to 2 week guy recently, which is pretty good, all things considered. I know there's been like a little gap right now because holidays and then New Year, and now I'm sick. I'm at the tail end of being sick. So it's just been a little bit more of a wait than usual. So yeah, the goal for 2025, upload more. I would like to reach 50,000 subscribers, but that I don't want to. I'll shoot for 30, double what I have, because at the start of the year I was like at 5,000, and I'm ending it with 17,300. So that's over a 3 times increase. So let's just see if I can get a 2 times increase this time. I'm thinking about opening a Patreon. I got to figure out, I don't want to be one of those guys that's all spammy with it and shit, and not giving people good content for it, because I actually do want to supply content for your money. So keep an eye out for that. I have some ideas, but I'm not really sure yet. But in other 2024 news that I wanted to talk about is that I can't believe I was fucking plagiarized. That shit was crazy. For those that don't know, which is, I think, a decent bit of you, I was plagiarized. So I watch iceberg videos, and iceberg videos are just, for better or worse, a bunch of fact videos. And the deeper you get into the video, the more obscure or crazy or creepy the facts get. And I like these videos simply as something you put on in the background, or something you put on when you're going to sleep. It's kind of like a regular mid-season baseball game. It's like you're not really watching it, it's just on the background, and sometimes it'll get your attention and you turn your head to watch it. That's kind of how I treat them. But I was starting to get these wrestling ones, the TNA iceberg, the ECW iceberg, so on and so forth. And I was like, oh, cool. Let me see what else this guy has. And then one day it popped up. I forgot what he called it exactly, but it was something along the lines of the definitive wrestling video game iceberg. And I was like, huh, it's interesting. And then I looked at the thumbnail and it was similar to the iceberg that I made. But I was like, it's just a coincidence, whatever. And then I watched it. And then he let off with the same thing that I let off with, which was, I believe, 2K20. I said, huh, that was interesting. What happened next was he had that Sting entry. And then when he had that entry, I was like, motherfucker stole from me. Because he says things, all memes aside, he says it word for fucking word on how I said it in my entry. And I was like, there's no way this guy just stole from me. And he did. Which in a way is kind of flattering, because I guess in some weird, bizarre way, it shows that I made it. I make at least something halfway decent if people are willing to steal from it. But it's like, fuck, man, you shouldn't be on YouTube. Same way how I would get expelled if I was stealing in college. You'd lose your YouTube account, in my opinion. I checked on his account recently, and I think he just makes bootleg Sunny V2 content in terms of, but just in wrestling terms. So whatever. That was the thing that happened that I just thought was so fucking interesting, because I just came off of watching H Bomber Guy's video on plagiarism, and that's like a 3-hour or so video. Onto the question portion of things. I'm gonna go through these either fast or slow depending on the question. Don't take offense if I just answer yours really quick. It's just not very interesting and don't have anything to say a lot of the time. What's your favorite and least favorite extreme sports game? Favorite, you could take your pick. Any Tony Hawk game, any SSX game. Shout out to 1080. I was gonna say 1080p like it's a TV resolution, but shout out to 1080 snowboarding on N64. But yeah, there's a lot to choose from. If you put a gun to my head and make me choose, I'll say Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remastered. That's a good one to go back to. And the worst one, I might go with that Razor scooter game that Tito Ortiz was in. I had that on the Dreamcast. There was this one game where, like, on PS1 where I think it was a race. You're driving down a street and you have chains and bats, and you can hit your opponent that's beside you. I remember not liking that as a kid, but I don't even know the name of it. I'm gonna have to do research and add it in post-production, but remember not liking that for whatever that's worth. Is there a game series you'll like to get into, but somehow you just can't? Like, you can't get a feel for it, something along those lines. So fun little story. I was a big, like, PlayStation fanboy around when the PS3 launched, because I grew up on PlayStation consoles. I had a PS1, I had a PS2, I had the PSP, and I got a PS3. Sounds like I'm fucking doing Dr. Seuss rhymes. But when the PS3 came out, that was when, like, the fanboy online fighting started, like, heavy. And it was like PS3 versus 360. Oh no, the Wii, we got fucking Super Mario Galaxy and Smash Brothers. It's like blah, 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 blah. So I was flying the PS3 flag back then. And it was whatever. I was like 12, 13 when the console came out. Since I was such a fanboy, I would defend any PlayStation game, no matter how, like, mid I thought it was. And one of those games, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, was the Little Big Planet games. I was hyped when they announced them, and when I got it and played it, I just said to myself, not out loud because I said it was a great game, but I said to myself, damn, these are fucking boring. They're just not mechanically interesting games. Super floaty platformers, just not fun. Granted, I like the character design of Sackboy. I like the design of the world, and I like the whole make a level aspect of those games. And I've seen people make crazy games. I've seen people make crazy levels. But you're making a level in Little Big Planet, which isn't mechanically fun. So is the level really worth anything? I don't know if that's mean to say, but to answer your question, Little Big Planet, because I really did try and like it. Do you think wrestlers that show they're into video games make them more relatable or less intimidating and nerdy? I haven't really thought about this. In like today's day and age, I don't think anyone gives a shit. I don't know. I can't watch. Like if I watch a Samoa Joe match, I'm not gonna be sitting here thinking, oh man, Samoa Joe plays Xbox One, so I can't take him beating up this guy seriously. If I was a kid, maybe I would think that way, because back then, no one was really a gamer per se. Because like even now, look at all the wrestlers now. You got guys like even Randy Orton going on podcasts talking about his Elden Ring build and shit. Back then, you didn't really have that. The closest you had was Cody Rhodes talking about like The Legend of Zelda, and everyone else was looking at him like he's stupid. So I really don't care. I don't. If someone says, "Oh man, I was playing a video game," I don't care. It doesn't really affect my view of the wrestling. What is your favorite Madden game on each gen of console? Also, how old are you?
How old are you?
30.
How old are you?
30.
Don't lie to us. How old are you?
30.
You lying to us?
30.
What's your license say?
30.
Favorite Madden game on each gen of console? I didn't really start Madden until the PS2 era. A lot of the games before, like the games before the PS2 era, just come across as more archaic to me, because a lot of those games tried to do simulation on technology where you can't be simulation. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I don't want to go in depth right now, but I can mess with a lot of those pre-PS2 sports games. It's just because the technology just isn't there yet. I'm not saying that's for every one of those games. I'm just saying for the vast majority of them. So PS2, I'll say Madden 06. PS3, I'll say Madden 12, the one with Payne Hillis on the cover. PS4, I'll say Madden 17, I think. Whichever one had Gronk on the cover. And I don't even really play Madden nowadays, so if you make me pick one from this console generation, I think the last one I released was decent, I guess. I don't know. Have you ever tried the free throw shooting mechanics in College Hoops 2K8? What is your opinions on them? No, I haven't. I looked up video to see what you're even talking about, and I just see videos of dudes just missing free throws crazy. Fun fact, I was going to do a video on basketball free throw mechanics, but I just never did because I don't know how I can make talking about free throw shooting for 10 minutes interesting. Happy New Year. Your commentary on these games are hilarious, unique, and I find myself rewatching a lot of your vids. Thanks for being you. I appreciate you, brother. Thoughts on modern pro wrestling? Not a fan. I'm kind of more of a lapsed fan. I watched wrestling up until 2020 when the pandemic hit, and I just thought pandemic wrestling was so bad. Like, the novelty of having an empty arena was cool at first, but after a while, you just kind of see that it just sucks in comparison to an arena full of fans. And then they tried the whole Thunderdome thing where people were airing like beheadings on the screen and shit. I wasn't a fan, and that kind of made me stop watching wrestling full time, like watching every show week to week. And honestly, I was heading toward that path anyway, because 2019 and going into 2020, WWE was really bad. That was the era where they were having like Drake Maverick piss himself and whatnot. And I don't know, I think the pandemic era just expedited me not watching anymore. So nowadays I just watch WrestleMania season, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, along those lines. Like, I just watched the Netflix special on Monday. I thought it was really boring. But as far as like modern pro wrestling, I'm hearing Triple H is making things better, and I do see it in some aspects. The Bloodline storyline is, or rather was, really good, but I can't really be interested anymore. I just miss when wrestling was two larger than life characters who hate each other and just want to fuck each other up. Now it's just a bunch of characters that I don't care for and don't interest me and don't intrigue me. A lot of guys who can't really tell a story either in the ring or on the mic. And a lot of people say, oh man, we have like the greatest roster of all time. And that's true in terms of athletics and being able to do more than the likes of, you know, The Rock and Austin and whatnot. But man, I'd rather watch Austin just make his entrance than 95% of the modern day roster. That's just me though. Do you think you'll cover any of the Xbox exclusive sports games or the Forza Horizon series at any point? Xbox exclusive sports games like NFL Fever and whatnot, eventually. As far as the Forza series goes, no. Never say never, but I don't like racing games, especially the simulation ones. So one day you could see something on Burnout or Split Second or Blur, but you're not going to see anything on like Forza or Gran Turismo or like a NASCAR game. I apologize, but what would I even say when I play those? It's just not my niche of game. Can you make a video on the NBA courtside games? I'll talk about them someday. I remember playing those a lot on GameCube when I never actually played the games. I just used to play the mini games that came with the game. What do you think about Mario sports game series? That and the Nintendo exclusive content, NBA Street Volume 3 and SSX on Tour. I've mentioned those before in, I think, in Iceberg videos, if I'm not mistaken. The Mario sports series, I have most experience with Mario Baseball, and there may or may not be something coming someday, although I don't see anything in the immediate future. You're doing amazing. Cool to watch you continue to grow your channel. Excited for whatever you may choose to grace us with in the future. Thanks, bud. Appreciate you, brother. I recognize your name. You've been here for a minute. Would you, and I do appreciate that, would you ever consider a franchise playthrough on an older Madden? So this is something that I wanted to do, but I just don't know how to tackle it. And I don't know if anybody would care. Would anybody care if I ran like not even just like a franchise, like a franchise, a career mode, stuff like that, and I upload it in video format? See, the thing is, how do I tackle it? Do I do it in a way where I do it live, like I'm explaining what's going on as I'm playing, or do I just give it the whole editing shtick with a script and whatnot? Obviously, that's going to take longer to make, and it'll take longer to come out. And if people don't like it, it's kind of like, ah, damn. Well, that was a failed experiment. I don't know. Maybe, to answer your question. Go-to parlay for the NFL playoffs this year. Shit. Wait, let me look up the NFL playoff bracket. I gotta subscribe to the Washington Post to look at this bracket? What the hell? All right, I found a free one. What the hell? Chargers versus Texans. I got Chargers. Steelers versus Ravens. I got Ravens. Broncos versus Bills. I got Bills. Eagles versus Packers. That's a close one. The thing with these NFC games, I can see any of these. On the NFC side, I can see all of these quote-unquote upsets going through. I don't want to be boring. I'll say Packers, but if that's wrong, please don't come to my house and kill me. Buccaneers versus Commanders, whatever the fuck they're called. Buccaneers. Vikings versus Rams. I got Rams. I think the Vikings are frauds. Rams versus Lions. I have Lions. Buccaneers versus Packers. I have Packers. It would be Chargers versus Chiefs. I have the Chiefs. Ravens versus the Bills. I have the Ravens. Then it would be... Sorry, my brain's working right now. it would be the Lions versus the Packers. You know what? I'm gonna take the Packers. Even though, shit, I don't know if you'd bet on this. I don't know if you'd bet on it. But yeah, Chiefs versus the Ravens. I have the Chiefs. Packers versus Chiefs. I have Chiefs. They three-peat. And yep, that's my playoff bracket. Use it wisely and win a lot of money. Probably not going to win a lot of money. Which defunct sports video game franchise would you like to see come back in the near future? This is kind of hard to answer because a lot of them they wouldn't succeed today because the developers that made them probably don't even make video games anymore. And like MVP Baseball, it would be modern EA making it. And who, like, do you trust them to make a game that had as much passion in it as MVP Baseball 05 did? Kind of the same as when people are like, oh man, 2K needs to bring back NFL 2K. And it's like, do you guys see the state NBA 2K is in terms of the whole monetization thing? They just released a fucking minigame mode where you're like shooting dudes in third person and throwing a ball into it. I don't know. As far as picking one that's reasonable and that can potentially be good, I'll say Fight Night. And Fight Night, according to rumor, is coming back. And if it does come back, which it most likely is, I think it'll be at least decent. I think they're capable of making a decent fighting game. I think those UFC games are on the cusp of being great. They're just a lot of bad. You know what I mean? There's just like not a lot of good that keep it from being great. And I think if you have a boxing game, there's a whole lot less emphasis on grappling and submissions and kicks and elbows and knees. It's just boxing. I think they can make a good game. At least better than fucking Undisputed was. I know you say you don't know much about football soccer, but there's a game on PS1 and PS2 called XS Junior League Soccer. It's a pretty fun game. To me anyway, it could be content for you to make. You know, when you got nothing else you can think of. Yeah, that's something I can add to the project list. Yeah, I'm always looking for stuff. So don't be afraid to suggest something, at least something unique. Because some people are like, oh man, can you make a video on SmackDown versus Raw? And it's like, 10 billion people made videos on that. I really don't have anything new to add to what they've said. Happy New Year. Glad to see you continue into 2025. What inspires you most to create videos? Also, please cover the NHL Hit Series. It's been among my favorite sports games. I hope you have a happy 2025. Same to you. What inspires me to create videos? God, this is going to be so corny, but the community, because I miss YouTube when it was more personal. Like I can upload something and people can come on my channel and they can leave a comment on my channel, or they can send me a personal message, or they can look on like my little bulletin that I can post, or they can see what videos I liked, what videos I disliked. And I don't know why YouTube took all of that away. All of it's gone. Like none of it is there. I don't know how you can call yourself a social media site with no social media features. It's just crazy to me. So if you guys really wanted to reach me, you would either have to comment on a random video, or you would have to comment on like a random community post, or you would have to create a third-party app like Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it, and message me on there or contact me on there. So stupid. YouTube is apparently making this thing. It's a new community tab where you guys can post on my community tab. People compare it to Discord, but I think it looks more like Facebook groups, to be honest with you. So when that drops, I look forward to that. But to answer your question, it's the community. When I get more views and more comments and stuff like that, and it encourages me to make more stuff. Sick. Happy New Year, man. Can't wait for future videos. I would like to hear your thoughts on the PS2 K1 games, more specifically K1 Grand Prix. This is USA only release, the entire Game 1 series, not talked about in the US or the series in general, other than forum posts or older reviews. So I'd like to hear a more modern review. It's in the project list. I just haven't got a chance to get around to it yet. I do know what you're talking about though. And the next video is combat sports centric, because you guys love your rings and ropes, even though a ring and a rope isn't involved in the next video. Well, I guess it technically is. Well, I'll shut up. Who is your favorite wrestler? Looking forward to what you have in store in 2025. So my top 5 favorite wrestlers are The Rock, Kurt Angle, Randy Orton, and Jericho and Punk. But you can interchange those two. That's not set in stone, but yeah, that would pretty much be my top 5. Happy New Year! I love your channel and videos. The question I have for you is, what would be your favorite weird sports game you've played reviewed so far? The Scottie Pippen one, because the game had me dying laughing at like 2 a.m. when playing it, and also there's like a whole fun story because I've never played a DOS game before or knew how they worked. So when I downloaded a DOS emulator, I was just confused as to why it wasn't like every other DOS, like every other emulator where it's like, oh, you hit file, open, oh, Scottie Pippen in Slam City, click, and then the game opens and you can play it. But that shit is like you have to do keyboard commands, and I've never done that. And I had to figure out how that works. Some may call me slow for having trouble with that, but it was definitely interesting, and that was definitely my most memorable video as far as playing the game is concerned and just laughing at it. What was a game that you did not have high hopes for and was surprisingly good? Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Yeah, I was one of those people that was hating on it before it came out. Because it went so far away from what Metal Gear was, and it came out with that corny subtitle, Revengeance. Like, oh my god. But the demo eventually came out. I played it and I was like, this shit's actually pretty fun. And then I got the full game and I thought the full game was really good too. But at the time I was like, man, they're killing Metal Gear. But it only took them about, what year did that game came out? 2013? It only took them about like 5 or 6 more years to actually kill Metal Gear. Do you plan on making a video about the Mario sports? Yeah, pretty much mentioned that. If I were to make one, it'd be on Mario Baseball. And thank you, Buff Tortoise. What happens if you run out of sports game to make videos about? I don't even know what the odds of that even are. Because think about it, there's a sports game, there are games released every year because it's annual. And then you got like so much stuff that's released digitally on storefronts. And then you got so much like slop in those storefronts that you've never even heard of. You have a ton of regional games that are only released in Japan or Europe. And you have all game modes inside of those games that I can talk about. I mean, it could happen, but is it realistic? I don't think so. I think there's just a ton of shit to talk about because no one tackles this field, really. I discovered a YouTuber called, I think Kaizen Kai was his name, who actually made similar stuff and was talking about game modes in certain sports games. And you have your Kofis and Sports Drink TV or whatever his name is. You have like those guys, but for the most part, kind of still a barren ass niche that no one makes videos in, and there's like a lot of stuff to cover. What is your favorite sports video game soundtrack? Oh god, I like MVP 05 because of nostalgic reasons. I mean, there's a song in that game where it's just some guy being a womanizer, being like, yeah, chocolate girl, hey Asian girl, hey vanilla girl. It's like, what? I'll say NBA 2K11. Little by little by little, I'm going crazy. Anyway, Happy New Year. What first got you into sports? I think it's the games, to be honest with you. So I got into football playing Madden 01. And I remember picking the Tennessee Titans all the time because I liked their logo. It's like a flaming thumbtack or some shit. So I always played football that way. With baseball, during the summer, it was just always on TV. So I would catch it and I would catch baseball. But for like everything else, it was just the games. And finally, any upcoming EA Sports big games you're gonna review. NBA Street Volume 2 eventually, and I want to do the NFL Street games again, because 2 and 3 are interesting. Harrison Sowep. Are you like, I don't know how to phrase this to not be mean, but are you like someone notable? Because that name sounds mad familiar. Harrison Sowep. Huh. But yeah, that's what I want to review for the EA Sports big games. Yeah, I know I had that whole series of doing EA Sports big games, but man, those did really badly as far as like viewers are concerned. The only one that did decent was the SSX ones, and that was just like an accumulation over time. Because I remember when I released it, nobody really watched it. But yeah, that was the Q&A. That was the year and update. I have no clue how long this is going to be. According to this thing, it's like 25 minutes, but I'm going to cut out a lot of the dead air, so hopefully it's not that long. I appreciate you guys. I appreciated the year. Let's hope we at least double these subscribers. And stay tuned the next probably 5 days when the new video comes out. And we'll do this Q&A again next year. Same time, same place. Peace. How much money did you spend on the Power Slap mobile game?
0!